Greetings, Dr. Mark Winton here from the University of Central Florida Department of Criminal Justice, and I'd like to spend a few minutes today discussing Lonnie Athens' violentization theory. This is an excellent theory that can be used to understand all different types of violence, from domestic violence to barroom brawls to genocide. And today what I'd like to do is to discuss the stages of violentization, and also with some of the applications of this theory to the problem of bullying. There's four basic stages of violentization that a person goes through as they become a violent, dangerous individual. The first stage is brutalization, which really involves teaching and demonstrating violent behavior. The second stage is the defiance stage, in which a person develops a belief system that supports the use of violence. In the third stage, violent dominant engagements, there is actually the practice of threatening and using violent behavior. And in the fourth stage, virulency, the person has defined him or herself as a violent and dangerous person. So now what I'd like to do is to go through each of these stages in more detail. And I would really want you to think about what would be indicators that someone is in a particular stage, and also what types of interventions would you come up with to stop the progression of the stages, or to reverse the stages. So if we look at the brutalization stage first, that is the stage where someone is taught basically about violent behavior. That in the brutalization stage, a person may be threatened by someone else with physical force, or they may witness violence. They may witness violence at home. They may witness violence on television. They may witness violence in their neighborhood. And they may be coached by others to engage in violent activities and behaviors, and be told that they have a responsibility basically to use violence. And so we may actually see situations in the case of bullying where a person begins to develop this idea of being a bully. They may not call themselves a bully. They may have other names. For example, I interviewed one adolescent and asked him how he thought others perceived him. He didn't say a bully, even though many of the people at school, the administrators and teachers, would refer to him as a bully. He referred to himself as a badass. He said, "I'm a badass and I don't take anything from anyone." Okay, so we kind of get that idea going, and so there's going to be different names for the same phenomena. Okay, so brutalization basically is teaching and demonstrating violent behavior, and we see that a lot, I think. We're all exposed in a variety of ways to violence. It's very difficult to avoid. We see it all the time in the news and the media. We hear about it from others. We sometimes witness it. We read about it. In a lot of movies, we have a lot of violent-based themes. We have a lot of violence that occurs in controlled settings, such as sporting events, regulated violence perhaps, and certainly we can see that there's different levels and types. The second stage, defiance, refers to the development of a violent support belief system. And so here there's presentations of situations where violence is encouraged, and the person who now is labeled maybe a bully is taught to understand this belief system that one must carry out these types of behaviors in order to be successful, or in order to be liked, or in order to be worthy, or in order to avoid being a victim oneself. We see that situation occurring as well. So now the person has developed a violence supportive belief system, and that leads to the third stage, which is the violent dominant engagements. And in this stage, there's not only the actual encouragement of carrying out a violent behavior, but the reinforcement the actual violent activities that are carried out, or the violent behaviors that are carried out. So in this case, the bully is directed to carry out violence against specific individuals, and also believes that this is appropriate and okay to do. The bully also tests out the results of his or her bullying, and will often continue or escalate the bullying if there's no negative sanctions or negative reinforcements. If there's positive reinforcements, they will continue that type of behavior. And that can lead to the fourth stage, which is virulency, which focuses on the belief that an individual is a dangerous and violent person, that they have a self-perception as being a dangerous, violent person, and others view them as a dangerous, violent person as well as they go about their day bullying others. So these four stages can be useful to understand the progression of bullying behavior that results in violent behavior, and it can also be used to think about how bullying progresses, how it begins, and again, how we may be able to take various steps depending on the particular stages to decrease the likelihood of bullying or reverse the process itself. What I like about Lonnie Athens' violentization approach is that it can be applied to so many different aspects of violent behavior. And in this brief overview, I tried to apply it to bullying. There's a lot of wealth of information in his books and writings. The one that I like to use in my class, Violent Crime and Violent Criminals, is his Violent Criminal Acts and Actors Revisited. An excellent resource, and it's really filled with examples, real-life examples of interviews that Professor Athens has conducted. And it also talks about some of the different emotions, which I did not really address here, and interpretations that go through someone's head as they understand their own behaviors, violent behaviors. And so this wraps up this brief overview of violentization theory. Have a good day or evening.